nothing compares to when I sit down and turn on one of these videos and watch them change and move and open and close and all these different things that they're doing.
Patricia Avant, I'm reconnecting because Black people do see UFOs, and it's an extraordinary film because this is real. These are real scenes that Patricia has captured, and it's incredible to have this amount of footage. I'm so glad to find that you've actually expanded on your first effort, and I think it brings a lot to the table. So good to connect again.
Well, certainly it is. Good to hear from you. It's been a long time. I did change the Black people to see UFOs, but the second one I did is called UAP Close Encounters. It's probably almost 2.5 hours long. I took the Black people to see UFOs, and I just kind of updated that one. That was the first one I did. I finally finished the second one early part of this year, early part of this year or the last part of last year.
Parental discretion is advised.
Yes, because I originally, when I started video trying to understand these things that I saw, in the first documentary and the videos are broken up because I thought in a lot of cases I was seeing different UAPs every time. And I did see probably 100 of them. But I now realize that a lot of the times the UAP was actually returning. 1 month it would come, and then maybe it would come again a second month, which kind of scared the bejeebus out of me. And I also realized that even though I had seen them go through multiple shape shifts, I realized that some of them were going through shape-shifting changes that were so dynamic and so different that if you didn't look at this entire video from a different angle, you wouldn't even realize that. So I realized that they were camouflaging some of them in the beginning. And I broke them down into that category where I try to show the ones that I felt were exhibiting a camouflage. And then that meant something different when you look at it this way, that they were showing up for me and shielding what they really looked like originally. But eventually, sometimes they would come back and just unfold their entire appearance. And that was just something I thought people should see, trying to help people understand, because I still don't know what they are. I don't know what they are, why they showed up, or why they showed up in such numbers around my house. I don't have a clue still. Again, I'd had a lot of time to really, really look at them and really try to put them together. I begin to now to take all of them, separate them into dates and months, and it's an entire different picture, of what they're actually doing and how many there actually were, and how many of the ones that I thought were different entities was just the same entity unfolding a different appearance over a certain amount of time, and even coming back a different time. Like maybe they would show up in October, and I thought the one that I saw in December was something different because it looked different. But then when I put them together, you can see the similarities. I could see that these were similar entities, and this might actually be the same one. The second documentary took me a lot longer because I felt like I had learned a lot more about them.
I like the way you're explaining it too, because I do think this changes over time. And there's something you also stress in the writing, that this is something that once you see it, it sees you. And that, I believe, is absolutely accurate. Once it knows that you are engaged and you are interested, I think it is instructing and trying to, as you learned, give you a fuller view, but only if you're willing to stay with it.
to stay with it. It's almost like it's a trust, building up a trust. You know, it's one thing when you see one of these things, or you see a UAP and you're not filming it, and you're trying to describe it to someone, and it's just nearly impossible to do that, you know, and make it make sense. But of course, I had so much footage, and even now, you know, I've moved, but I have this one that just keeps showing up. And it keeps showing up every, maybe 3 times a week. And I'm, you know, trying not to be afraid of that, you know, that kind of a return, because I don't know what that means. I don't know what they want. I don't know what they're capable of. They haven't hurt me or anything like that thus far, but I still don't know what this means.
I think that's absolutely spot on. Is just because we see something doesn't mean we understand it, and especially when it's a continuous interaction, engagement, a repeat appearance, it's like, okay, so where do we go from here? Because there is no language. There's just that visual.
People tell me, well, do you hear something, or do you hear a sound? And I don't. When this UAP shows up, the only thing I can say is either I may be doing something else entirely, and it will get on my mind, and I'll turn around and look out the window, and it'll be there. You know, now that's of course a different. When I first started filming them in 2017, it was just an ongoing thing. I saw something, I started filming it, and then I started trying to see if it was going to be there every night, and then all of these UAPs started showing up, and it just became kind of an obsession. You know, and I was telling somebody, you know, I have a video where my son, it's like 10 o'clock, and he's saying good night. And in this same video, he is later saying at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll see you when I get home from work. And I initially played that video, and I didn't think anything about it. And then one day I thought about that, because, you know, that space is, that time in between that, I don't really remember. I'm trying to figure out, I'm looking at this video and saying, well, what the heck? Because I couldn't even film that long. You know, the battery wouldn't last that long, I wouldn't think. That's almost 7 hours. And so more and more, as I was kind of shying away from certain things that people were telling me could be happening, and you know, because I don't understand it, and I don't know that I'm comfortable trying to, you know, speak to something or ask this entity to come into my life and my world that way, you know. But that space and time between the time he went to bed and the time he woke up and went to work, I had to admit to myself that that was a blur. I have the video and I have I was filming, but I just don't have a full memory of me sitting there that long. And so as I started to really pull out these videos and really look at them, because I think early on, the first documentary, you know, I was excited. I put the video together and other people were excited, and you get a lot of attention. But I had not really just really looked at them and really thought about what this could mean, you know. And I still don't know what it means, but I know that they are interacting with me, and I wish I knew what they wanted.
Okay, I like the fact that you're not trying to make it mean something, that you're not trying to put words and identify it and with, you know, what we call intelligence, explain it. Because from my own experience with this type of stuff, there are so many ways it can go, and it all is basically dependent upon our personal interpretation, our reactions, whether we're afraid, whether we're excited, whether we're curious. It really, it conforms to how we approach it. And so I think that's why so many people have very, very different experiences, because we all come from different points of reference. We all have different beliefs, different social backgrounds, and different, the whole thing relies upon us somehow interpreting it. And with you backing off and saying, well, wait a minute, let's approach this from another direction. And then you get an entirely new glimpse of it. So I think what you're doing is creating a framework from which to view it. And no matter what anybody else says to you, this is your experience. This is your awareness, your understanding, and your, I think, exploration of something we have yet to even consider as a factor in our, quote, reality. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I put up a picture. There's a gentleman by the name of Trevor James Constable, and he was a UFO researcher. He just died in 2016. He died the year I saw the Orbs. One day, I was looking him, researching him, and he had his book out. And on the cover of the book was this UAP that looked exactly like one I filmed in 2017. And so when you put them side by side, it's like, this is unreal. He filmed his in 1975 out a airplane window, I'm told. And that he was just filming. He out the window. He hadn't actually saw it, and when he got home and developed this is what he saw. And they're almost identical. This is like 40, 41 years, 42 years apart. And I think I'm looking at this, and I actually just put this up the other day, I believe, and thinking, what could this possibly be? And, I had decided, I don't know, earlier, sometime this year, that I was going to stop asking, because, I was prone to trying to find somebody in the UFO community or UFO Twitter or somebody there that has researched more than I have what they thought these things are. And of course, nobody really knows. And I said, well, I'm going to start just asking the universe kind of, what is this? What do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do with this? And I did that a couple of days. And one night, or one morning, I'm sleeping. I stood up on the side of the bed, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad, but I couldn't get up. And I was just like frozen, like sitting up on the bed. And I hear this voice, and it's not in my head. I don't hear voices. This was outside. And it says, we make ourselves known beforehand. And I'm thinking, I finally was able to get up. Let me just say what it actually said. It says, we are beforehand. And I'm thinking, of course, because now when I finally figured out what it actually was saying, and me trying to understand it in this lucid kind of position I was in, because I was lucid dreaming, no doubt about that. And when I sat up on the bed and I couldn't get up, then I knew I was in a lucid dream, and I wasn't concerned about it. I wasn't afraid about it.
Right.
And I actually heard this voice say something else to me before, years ago, with regards to me wanting to have a third eye experience, and it assisted. And I put that in ChatGPT, because I love this AI stuff, and I just asked, what do you think this actually is saying? And they translated it as we make ourselves beforehand. And there's this book called The Arcane Teaching, and it talks about these entities that will try, once you pass on, that will try to keep you from moving forward. And it says that these entities are residuals from other souls that are not moving on to the higher realms. And I just thought that was so interesting, because I am getting on in age here, Is this all of this just something for me to recognize that. I'm just, pulling at straws here, but I thought that was a peculiar thing. And so I'm learning also. I think they call it synchronicity. I'm hearing this voice, not all the time, very rarely will I hear this voice. In fact, I've only heard it 3 times in my lifetime. But I've heard those 3 times enough to let me know that it's the same tone, it's the same whatever it is. And the same thing that seems to respond when I ask a certain kind of question. And then, lo and behold, I have that experience. So I put that out there a little bit. And all the next thing I know, I'm running up on this short video on YouTube called Cosmic Masters. And it says that everybody has a cosmic masters. And these are entities that have, they're the souls of humans who have reached a really high level of existence. And that from time to time, even though they don't just get deeply involved in your life and day to day, they're not going to tell you everything to do. But if you, but they do help you, and they will answer questions of specific kinds of questions. And I'm just, I'm thinking, all in all, you get this information is great and synchronicity and the cosmic masses, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
How do I turn 63, 4 years old, and this suddenly becomes my life?
Like you said earlier, it's like an obsession. Once you find this out, then everything else is pretty much off the chart because it isn't as fun or as interesting or as incredibly fantastic as the stuff that's then entering into your life and saying there's more here than you've been taught.
It's like I've always had questions about or doubts about religion and the Bible and the stories, and how they never matched up or lined up. And so I know that kind of thinking always has led me to different things, ancient texts, the Nag Hammadi, Sister Sophia, and even the book I just mentioned, which of course it just skipped my mind. But it's true, it's like nothing compares to when I sit down and turn on one of these videos and watch them change and move and open and close and all these different things that they're doing. You're right. It's right at this point in my life. I don't even enjoy TV. It has to be a movie or something has to be really, really great for me to sit through it and one of these videos not pop in my head and I have to get up and think, well, wait a minute, did this part of the video, what did it do? And I suddenly remember some move that one of these entities made that I had been meaning to go back and zoom in on it or and it's like it really has taken over, but not in a bad way. I'm not upset about it in any way like that. I'm glad to be through with that second part of that documentary because it just kept, the way to set it up just kept growing and growing because originally I was just going to put them into the same way I did, but I inadvertently sectioned them off by dates and a month, and I started to see this timeline or something flowing through them. And so that's how it ended up being set up entirely different. The categories, the ones that I thought that were really, really frightening, that might even be dangerous, that did not seem to give off the same vibration as some of the other ones. The similarity between several orbs that have this kind of almost glowing metallic looking ball on top. And I had one and I thought I had seen this one with the red one. And lo and behold, I got one with a blue metallic ball that was in a different folder. So it turned out entirely different, the way I set it up because of that one thing I did, and I ran one through a funny looking filter on Photoshop one day, just trying to see the difference and could see that some of them had what looks like, could very well be a heat signature that maybe this one is occupied, and ran another one through there, and it didn't seem like anything was on there. And then I showed this triangular one to a friend, and she said, that looks like a portal. And I've been looking at this triangular video for years. And I felt like that is a portal or something. Because for the first time, when I really slowed it down, I watched these certain parts of it being pulled down into the center. And I had chopped that video up in several different stages because I thought the second thing I saw was something different. When I started pulling all the videos, looking for the originals, because I really chopped them up really bad in the first documentary because, again, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I watched that video from beginning to end. I realized that it was some kind of portal. It pulled itself inside, and then it totally collapsed. And that was all one UAP. It wasn't two separate UAPs like I had thought at first. And so then it just keeps getting deeper.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
See, the thing I am hearing in what you're saying is there's an evolution. And the more you reconsider and rework and revisit and re-examine from multiple points of perspective, instead of just saying, okay, this is what it is, I've got it figured out, and then making it something and saying, okay, this is what I'm dealing with and this is what they are, and going forward, it's saying, I don't know what it is, I need to examine it. And that's science. That's the way science works, is going back and saying, all right, I still don't know, I need more information. And I am learning as I go, and you are learning. And as you're doing that, you're also teaching others. There are some I have seen who have these videos that look like they're more organic, I guess is the word. And instead of a ship, instead of some vessel, which everybody wants to make it into some kind of flying plane, a contraption of some sort, these are more like beings. And that's what some people have said from the beginning. They have said this, but it's been either edited out or denied or shamed. And so the people who have tried to say that these are organic beings and life forms of some kind have basically been shunned and have not allowed access, and said these aren't UAPs or UFOs. These people are imagining. It's a hallucination. And so that's where we are right now. Finally, you are one of the few who's able to get this stuff on video and in some way laid out in a form that other people are allowed to see. Not everyone can do this, and not everyone has the patience, for one thing. Not only that, they don't allow it, because this is an interaction. This is a two-way street, which I think is also part of the issue that people have yet to really understand, why they would allow themselves to be seen by one person and completely invisible to someone else. Well, I know, when I'm dealing with people, there are some people I avoid. They don't like me, and so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go there. And not even that, or we don't have anything in common, and so we can't even talk because we don't see things the same way. If I like Bigfoot, then they like Aquaman, and okay, well, that's not the same category. Okay, so there you go. But that's people. That's normal. And so that's saying, doesn't mean you're bad if you can't see them, or if you're good if you can. It means we are learning from all of our experiences. And this is I think is fantastic. I love the fact that you have dug a deeper dive into this to see what else might be going on, instead of saying, well, here it is and that's it, and walked away. No, I'm glad that the TV programs aren't distracting you.
Well, I had to get to a point where I actually made a little audio that saying I'm not good, because people were trying to put me in some kind of, or you're just some kind of a prophet, or you see them because you have a good, and I'm just regular. I'm just a regular human being, and this happens. And I don't want to be categorized like that. I don't know if they chose me or if I chose them, or if it, like you say, it was just a mutual thing. I filmed one and I kept going. I didn't think, wow, that was a one night stand. For some reason, I could not stop. And for that entire year nearly, it was just nonstop. Everything had to be in place by a certain time of the night so that I could be ready and be there and film these things. And they were coming up out of the ground. They were flying across. They were just doing everything. I have, and the other interesting thing is, and I don't know what to make of this, but when I started putting them together, the first documentary, and I wanted some stills, I knew I had taken a few stills here and there. And so I, on my computer, and I searched JPEG, JPG looking for, and just hundreds of stills with dates popped up, and I'm like, well, I don't remember taking this particular still, and I don't remember taking that. I don't remember taking all of these different stills this way. And I guess it turns out that when your camera is in auto, you're looking at something, but if it's, as it turns out, they would move from some fuzzy looking thing into these very clear and distinct shapes, and the camera would catch it, and I was just putting all this stuff on an external drive and trying to be ready for the next night. And before I went back and looked at all of them. And, it's a story unfolding. And it was not a story unfolding for me at first. It was just something that was happening to me. But now, I'm sitting here and something says to me, go take all of the stills by this particular date, put them in a folder. Go get all of the videos that have that same date and put them all in the folder. And then lo and behold, I can see that this was this and that one right there. This is a group right here. I don't know if that particular group is I don't want to say race, but a specific type of being. And then this other group that I finally put together in the folder, this is another plasma being. Are these all different beings? They must be, right? And then this finally connecting these dots, and I'm just thinking, it is, like I said, it keeps getting deeper and deeper. And when I thought it was done in the sense, I haven't seen these huge numbers of them anymore, but I've seen things, but none of these things. So I'm thinking this is maybe done, and then it's not done. It's just these ideas or these thoughts or these plans that something or somebody has for me to see these things in a different light, and something says, well, you know what, rotate it, and he rotated, and oh my God, look at that. And so it's not stopping, it's not ending. And I'm trying really hard to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And let it unfold. And so if it's the middle of the night and something says, go this part of it you didn't look at this part, I got to get up.
Well,
I have to get up and go look.
Yeah, see, to me, that's a telepathic connection. That's an internal telepathic. You are being given support, instruction, and guidance on how to make this more relevant and maybe more linear, so we can connect the dots better.
It's very interesting. I'm beyond that stage where I didn't have that many people that would look at that and say, oh, you made it up, or somehow this is fake. I've only had a very few people say that, and so I'm beyond that, because I know that it's something else. And I'm moving away from this really fearful because I was afraid,
Mm-hmm.
to say like I'm speaking with you, because what does that sound like?
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's something that I don't have a clue what it is, can pop into my head and and ask me to go look at the specific video and do this with it. And then you see something totally different.
And
And I don't, I guess I'm thinking, but why would something choose me? I don't have anything to bring to the table that would warrant something this, as far as I'm concerned, this spectacular or this, this deep, but I guess it's not looking for me to have it. It's looking for me to, I guess, in a way, do what it asks me to do.
it's looking for a
And
channel. It's looking for a venue. It's looking for an outlet. It's looking for someone to be, and there's the hollow bone, which was a term that is basically saying someone who's not going to project their own idea, their own description, their own definition. And you fit that completely in the way that you speak, in what you are doing. You're saying, I don't know what this is. So it is free to do whatever it can to help enlighten you, instruct you, and show you what it might be, what it can be. And you're not trying to make it conform to anything that we already know, because I don't think it is something we already know. I think it's something we are all being exposed to and asked to dig deeper and to be curious and not frightened, not saying it's here to harm us, because we stop it if we do that. We have to understand the only way forward is through. And that's what you're doing, is going forward. So I think that's why you are the perfect person. And I think the word chosen is overused, and it makes it. There was a TV show that they had I absolutely loved it, and it was People of Earth, and in that they were the ETs who could be disguised, reptilians and the tall whites. Everybody was represented. They said when they would abduct someone, you are special. Okay, and that was like everybody's like, oh yeah, so there's a group, the experiencer group, where they all know, as they're comparing notes, they were all told the same thing: you are special. So they automatically assumed something different, and it changes your ego, it changes everything. But it was just like a code phrase: tell them they're special. That works. That works every time. You'll get them. So, okay, so the joke is that there's more going on. And as soon as we try to get our ego into it of some big great powerful Oz kind of moment, then we deflate very quickly, because other people remind us, no, you are not. And and yeah, you must be making it up. But we have to get past all that. And when we do, then we can see these things, I think, with an open mind, and say that this is just trying to get us to the next level of consciousness, where we are much more willing to be proactive about the fact that we are not alone, that there are other entities here with us, among us, and they also have a wish, a desire to be represented and seen. What that means, I don't know. I just know they're here.
Yeah, well, there's no denying that. When I saw the Orbs in 2016, I'm sitting in my living room, I had the window open, and I kept seeing this orange thing in this open lot. And I finally get up, and I'm really pissed now, because what is this? And I look out there, and it's not there. And I look to my left, of course, and there's 4 of them hanging in the sky.
Huh.
The interesting thing about that, and this was my first experience, I hadn't filmed this, is that probably within that month, my son had been sending me YouTube videos where everybody's seeing these red-orange orbs and filming them. And I had such a negative, what is this? That's nothing. I didn't think it was anything. And I think, well, it could be anything. It could be an airplane. I just didn't make much of it, And then suddenly here are 4 of them almost on my front lawn, and my son and I, even in the events that were to follow the next year. We never spoke about those orbs until actually maybe last year. We literally sat down and talked about them in light of everything else I've seen, right? And I've seen tons of those now. You know, they're everywhere. But I didn't have a negative feeling, but it wasn't the kind of thing that I would expect a UFO to look like, or a UAP. And I've since kind of gathered that, that people are looking in the sky and they're trying to see things, and they're looking for the Jetsons. They're looking for the spaceship. Mm-hmm. They're looking for what we have been seeing in the movies, and what we, there's this expectation. And it's like you said, these are beings. These are entities that are moving. I mean, I have a couple of them that are so formed that they it's like you can see it breathing. And so the term plasma being fits them perfectly. Their vehicle and their existence seem to be one thing. They can come and go. They come and go as they please. They disappear. They show back up. Some of them do seem aggressive. The red ones seem aggressive. I mean, I've even narrowed it down to that. The red ones, the bluish ones, the white ones, then there's this cream one looking one. I mean, there's different levels of these beings. And when I start really, really, really looking at them, I can see that this one not only got upset that I was filming it, it stopped doing what it was doing and moved back into the dark and just showed up a little bit. And the only way I could actually see that it was still there is that eventually something told me to run that film in your editor, brighten it up, and you will see that it was never gone. It was still there, even though it looked as if it disappeared. And so eventually I had to think about that. Where they say the phenomenon acknowledges you when you acknowledge it, and then there's this two-way thing, and that really becomes a different layer of involvement, because now I know that I was being watched as much as I was watching. And so, what do I do with that? Am I afraid of that, or do I just let that unfold? And it's just taking me to this year because, again, everybody's got an idea of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and you should say something. Don't be afraid to say something. So the other night I decided this one that keeps coming back, I did. And I kind of whispered hello. And it was doing, I wish I had a term for this kind of rolling movement that these orbs do. When they're moving in a certain direction, it almost looks like fire rolling, and it stopped, and it flattened out, and in my view, and I was zoomed out as far as I could get, and it moved in, and then it stopped for a little bit, and then it went on, it moved on its way. So now normally we'll see this thing maybe every other night or 3 nights a week, but not consecutively. Well, it showed up the next day, and when I tried to get it in clear, it wouldn't let me do it. It just stayed at a flat surface, a flat shape, and it would not bounce into or whatever, get into the shape that it normally does. And I took that as maybe leave me alone.
Well, yeah. I'm not a show pony. Okay, this is you. Yeah.
So I cannot interact with you that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think and I'm just guessing. But for certain, every time I have seen it and have said nothing, it shows up in a different form. And the other night, it would not let me connect. It wouldn't connect. And then it came back a third night, and it did connect, but I just shut up. I didn't even film it as long as I normally do, because I'm just thinking, someone else said that, maybe all of them don't want to be filmed. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe that's true.
Some of this has to do with our own comfort level too. In the film, you're saying, I'm ready to step forward with this. I can accept the criticism or the, whatever, the disbelief, and you're in a different space now because you have so much footage. You have so much connection that you're interacting with it. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. This is your relationship and you are building on it. And not only that, with them, you are taking the hint, since it's nonverbal, that, okay, there's a backing off, not wanting to be filmed in the same way, but you also have that other guidance that says, all right, film it this way or turn it that way. So something is helping to make this more public, to make it accessible, to give you permission to, in some way, bring it forward and bring it to other people's attention so they know what they're seeing isn't their imagination. They're not making it up and they're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is real. And you are
Mm-hmm.
the conduit. You are the person who is the intermediator, the person who's saying, and the translator, who's saying, look again. Don't try to make it something. Let it show you what it is. And then we go forward.
Yeah. Because I get the distinct impression from the Orbs that they are certainly different from the other entities, and that they seem to have a specific role. And I've kind of figured that out early on, because there would be a red one and a white one most often when I would see them off in their direction. And I, of course, would be focused on those two things because, I'm watching them, this red orb, this white orb, and then they might start blinking. And I say, well, is this an airplane or what is this? And you zoom in, and of course, there's no plane there. And then the next thing I know, in several of the videos, something else would shoot by so fast. And most often I would not even see that again until I played the video back. And I realized that it's almost as if they were directing traffic. And I've said that before, because there's several videos where the entity or the item or the being or that shoots by or moves by so fast that I never see it. I just see the two lights blinking, and I have this other video, and it's so weird. It's just so weird how you can look at something one day and for whatever reason it doesn't have an impact on you, and you look at it again and you think, oh, because there was this two orbs, and I got up this particular day and I was on the porch and mosquitoes were bothering me, and I put the camera, it was on, and I put it in the chair, went in the house to get some bug spray. And when I came back, I just started filming again. And when I played that video back, these two orbs, a red one and a white one, were so close to me that the banister on my porch went across one of them.
Mm.
And I can only think, because the white one was just clicking away and the red one was just there. And I never heard anything. They never made a sound. It was just, and it's just interesting. Like I said, I had that video for a while and I looked at it and had seen the orbs really close. But when I really examined it, I realized that's the banister. That shadow that I see going across that red one is the banister. And this was early on in 2017 when I was filming. So I guess I'm saying that to say that I am still, to this day, finding videos. And not that I just don't have a full recollection. Some of them stick in your head, and then I pull up, I had just put them all in every different place or on multiple external drives, just trying to clear out my SD card, because I was just such an amateur at this whole thing. I had one SD card and one battery.
Yeah.
And so I would just pull everything off. I would be so tired the next day, you know. And I guess I'm saying that to say that what I said in the beginning. This is really deep, you know, and it keeps getting deeper. And every time I think it's peaked or something, it's another level is added to it. And I guess eventually, like you say, either the whole thing is for me to just present it the way it's being presented so people can see what they need to see. See that if you're looking for a spaceship with a bubble over it, then you might be looking for the wrong thing. You may have already seen these things, but because you just thought it was something else, a blur or just a ball of light, and it's because they did start out that way. You know, I would see this tiny, tiny white light thinking it was a star, and eventually all of this other part of the whole being was behind that. And it's just very interesting. It hasn't gotten any less interesting since I last spoke with you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the thing I enjoy about this is that it brings another vantage point. It brings another perspective. And I did look up They Live in the Sky. This is the Trevor James Constable. I think they revised it,
yeah.
Reissued. And so what happened is he checked out at the same time you checked in. So you're carrying it forward.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that was so weird, you know, because a friend of mine, John Majorowski, he just is always sending me things. This looks like what you saw. This looks like this. Read this. Look at that. And I don't know, 2021 or somewhere, he sent me Trevor James Constable, some pictures that he had taken. And, you know, a lot of it looked like some of the things I had videos. His was black and white, so it was a lot harder to see. But then I stumbled upon that book cover, and I literally had to find this guy that had been working with him. I finally found him and asked, when did he take that picture? You know, and he told me 1975, and that he had been filming it, just filming out of a airplane. And when he ran his film through the developer, that's one of the things he saw. And I thought that was interesting too. You know, I try not to, like you say, read too much into anything, but you know, I saw the Orbs, and of course I didn't know he died in 2016 till sometime later. You know, but I saw the Orbs in 2016. He died in 2016, and then out of the blue, somebody introduces me to his work. And the only discrepancy I have with him is that he thought that these entities were not intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
yeah,
you can, you know, I think when I was saying hi to this entity the other day, in my mind it was almost like I was talking to it in a childlike thing. Hello, how are you? You know, and I thought, why are you talking to it like it's a baby? That might have been what insulted it. And I thought, you know...
yeah, you're not ready for me, dear.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's because you're seeing it from such a far vantage. It looks small. And we have a tendency because of that, you know, you hear people talking about them as if they are, because of that, because of course they might land down on this land and be big as their apartment building, but on the planet, you know. But I think that may be part of why people speak about these entities the way that they do, because we can't measure them up. Yeah. You know, we can't say it's this tall or this wide or this big, and it's in the video. I'm looking at it. It's there, and it's not as big as I am here, but you know, you still have to have respect for it, you know, because it is something unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. And I think even though I have them on film and I'm looking, I still sometimes all I can say is this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the only words that can come out of my mouth.
When somebody sees this for the first time, just talking about your film and stuff like that, actually seeing it move is so helpful. It makes it real.
That is really the bottom line of everything. When I saw the orbs, saw them with my own eyes, the red ones, and all of that, and then they were there. My son says, well, maybe it's a helicopter, and thinking if that's a helicopter that close, we're about to die. And, look, we're just trying to say what these lights could be, because they were literally in formation. And somebody, made noise down at the bottom. Only one person that night, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and she gets in the car, and we decided, okay, we can leave now, because we didn't want to leave. We were not, it was like they were there. We didn't know what they could do. Maybe we shouldn't have seen them, and we go in the house. And so I forgot about that. I put it out of my mind, because there was just no explaining that, And then, of course, fast forward to 2017, and, it's like Orb City in the sky.
Yeah.
If you video just the naked sky and then put it in something where you can brighten it up, I almost guarantee you will see an orb. It's like when they're not doing whatever it is they're supposed to do, they're kind of just there. I have this triangular white orb. I always say they look like cottage cheese. This particular orb, they're kind of creamish looking. And I was videoing that one morning, and they go from white to kind of a tan. And I videoed it and watched it go from point A to point Z and disappear. And I ran that video back a year or so after that and brightened it up. And lo and behold, it was a red and orange, oranges orb that I didn't even see when I was filming this. And that's very interesting to me. That's why I started to wonder about the orbs, if they were remotely controlled, if maybe they seem to have a very specific purpose. I even think in terms of what we call the Big and Little Dipper. That's a formation, even though we see it as one thing or another. After witnessing these orbs line up the way they did and wait until they were instructed to move higher up, and they moved higher up, and then they all disappeared through some opening. They just disappeared. That was the 2016 experience. And since then, of course, like I say, they're just all over the sky. And I filmed the sunset out of this window one summer, and the sun was going down. And now, of course, anything I film, I run it through this filter to see what else is there. And they were just all over the sun as it was going down. These particular white ones all over the sun. And I'm sitting here one day, 2023, I believe it was, and I see this cloud, and this cloud formation is just so strange, and I'm filming it, and this thing floats by, and it's on there too, and then later on, the word orphanim comes out of nowhere as an explanation for them, and it's round, and it's far away, but I'm zoomed in really tight, and it's got these two smaller kind of orbs rolling around in it. And then one of them rolls around and just drops out. And I'm like, what in the heck?
And what was the name you said? The word came what?
Orphaning is, let me make sure.
Orphaning?
Orphaning. I just had it. It's ORPHANIN.
Yeah. Okay. So separate. Go ahead.
That's, I had never heard that word before, ever. But I had, and of all the orbs I've seen, I've never seen one like this. So someone said that's probably an angel. or what we call an angel. But of course, we're looking for the angel to have wings and all of this type of thing. But when I started reading this definition, and then of course comparing it to the whole idea of the thing that Ezekiel saw,
Yeah.
it was almost an identical description, And so I saw two of those. I saw one that August, and I saw one that March. The other one, they're in there too. They're under Orbs. And I threw them in because I had to. This other one was shaped like a octagon, and nothing was moving in front of it, and it was closer, still very far away. And I guess I couldn't imagine how you could describe what the size might be. But I had never seen anything like either one of those, and they're not like any other orb that I've ever found. Mm. And so it's just amazing. And I appreciate being able to, I don't get to speak like this very often about this because it's just not everybody's cup of tea.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell when I'm speaking to someone and it's just, they're not absorbing it and they just don't get it. And I understand that. I'm not upset about that. So I don't unload on my friends, or the few that I have, or you're my friend as far as I'm concerned. Because it's so much. And I was talking with this guy on a Twitter space one day, and the next thing I know, I'm just bawling. And I was so embarrassed but I think I said it. Am I this full? I did not realize. I'm not upset. I'm not depressed or anything like that. But it would be really nice if one of those things just would come in and say, "Okay, let me just tell you what's happening."
Right. Let's get you up to speed.
Yeah. But that doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So I just keep looking at them and trying to understand. I'm trying to see. Hoping that I don't see something that I don't want to see.
No, well, okay. There's in my own experience, and I have a very unusual experience that I've been going on for 26 years, 27 years, December, seeing what I call an entity, and it's an interactive nightlight. My nightlights flicker and blink. It isn't me. It's an entity that I have developed a relationship for a couple of decades. And I also have guides who say, do this, do that, and suggest how to connect. And the first time I asked for help, I saw two orbs. I said, who's here? And my spirit guides, and I saw two dinner plate size, about orange, and you could see they were opaque, orange color, looking like a typical orb in my bedroom, seeing them presenting themselves as my guides, because I said, can I see you? And they said, well, not really, but here, we'll show you this. And so that's what I could see. So seeing that at that time, I think that was 97, 98, somewhere in there, and then having these experiences and somebody saying, in terms of learning how to be more psychic, more intuitive, more to see things maybe in the dark or the light, whatever, beyond what you would normally see. They said, close your eyes in a dark space and open your mind, relax, whatever it takes, meditate, and then open your eyes. Do not be afraid, because what you are seeing has been here all along. So don't frighten yourself, because this isn't something brand new and you didn't bring it on. You just said, okay, I'm ready to see it. And to what I am, I guess I'm trying to say that we are at that point where some of us are seeing things that we have no explanation for, and we can't describe it or make it real for anyone else. We have to just say, this is here. It's up to you what you make of it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, without a doubt. I have had at least two orbs in my house. I had one that came in 2013 that I didn't know was an orb. I videoed that too. It came in and it just seemed like it just was responding to my grandson playing. At that time, I didn't call it an orb or know what it was. It was just this light that came in and just started interacting with him, and then it left. And after the experience in 2017, of course, I did wake up one morning with an orb. You know, it was that way where you feel something looking at you. And I woke up and it was a white orb just over my head, you know, and of course I swung at it and it disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't swing at it now if it happened, but for you're waking up in the morning and you're just thinking, what the heck, you know? So even with the cosmic voice, or the cosmic master as it's called, I fully understand that now, you know, and it doesn't scare me or terrify me if I hear these instructions. You know, if they were inside of my head, it would worry me. But the 3 times I've heard it, they've been outside, and each one of those experiences have been in response to me asking for something. And then, you know, like you said, I'm no longer dismissive of information that shows up out of nowhere, kind of an explanation. And again, I click on YouTube and I'm looking for something else. I don't even know what. And here is this very short video talking about cosmic masters. And it gives a perfect definition of this entity that has been responding to these questions that I have, or my wanting to have. I wanted to have a third eye experience, and I didn't know how to go about it. So I just put a little piece of tape on my head. This was some years ago, and I forgot it was there. Walking in the grocery store, people went, "What's that on your head?" What? Oh, and laid down one night, and I hear outside. This was maybe the second time, and one single word. It said, "Hurry." And I hurry. And again, I have this feeling of rising up. I don't know if my body rose up or if my spirit rose up out of my body, but it only did it to a certain level of height. And my forehead or my inner eye or third eye, it opened up like somebody was parting the waters. You know, it was like, and I knew that what I had asked for had been granted. You know, I had asked to have this third eye experience, and people were having them, and I didn't know how to go about it, and I wanted to have this. I wanted to experience that. I wanted to feel like it was. I wanted to know if it was real, if it could really happen. And I guess it was genuine. My request was genuine enough that it responded. You know.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. It happened, and it's those things where you kind of let it go. You don't think hard on it because you ask for something. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it, and it happens, and then you don't know what to make out of it. You know, it's again one of those cases where it happened to me, so I cannot. It's very hard to express it to anybody else and to make them understand what you're talking about if they're not in that kind of a mindset,
Yeah.
And so now it was so far in between, that the other experience happened here lately. And then I get this information or instruction it's in the sense of a YouTube video explaining to me what this is. This is my cosmic entity that is a guide for me, and it's in the instruction in the YouTube video was that it will not be there every single time. It's not your babysitter.
Yeah.
It's not going to, you can't ask it 3 wishes, but if you have a genuine question, it will guide you to an answer for it if that timing is correct, and it's just interesting to me that I even get that.
Well, and I think it's because you're genuine. You're genuine, and you're not. It's more than a hobby, and it's not an obsession. It's a devotion of I am determined to make this clear, to understand it, to communicate and to learn. All of those things suggest a student, someone who is devoted and dedicated and in pursuit of something of higher knowledge, higher awareness. And with that, then I believe is when we get responses from other, whether it's angelic beings or other, immortal beings. There's so many names for this, but higher intelligence, higher awareness, when we are committed and authentic in our desires and show interest and show that we are responding and going forward. That's when I think we get help. And I mean, I know that with my own stuff is that when I have been deadlocked on something, they, well, it just doesn't work this way. Well, why does it do that? Then I'll get an answer, or I'll get led to an answer. And it's, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So then I can look at it a different way. And if I think, well, there's no action, there's no interaction, it really isn't happening, and something will then happen. I'll get a picture, I'll get a billboard, I'll get an appearance. And the night light, though, is constant, that interactive, blinking light. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't go off for months at a time because it doesn't want to burn out the bulb, which I have found very interesting because for 25 years it was a constant presence, except at night. And it said, we are not a night light. And it turned off because it, again, conserving the bulb. I thought that was ingenious. But it was also, it's not a dog and pony show.
Right.
So it's that thing of we don't perform on command because I'm not doing it, Yeah.
Yes.
So that's my interaction with this other being, this other awareness, this other intelligence. Just because it doesn't have a body doesn't mean it doesn't have a mind. Something that makes it sentient. Right. And we are going to have to figure that one out because somehow we think it has to have some kind of a material form to give it some way to hold its big brain. No, I think the brain is for us in this earth plane, function and a piece of property, but I think our consciousness and our knowing, our awareness is beyond the physical form. And that's what science is trying to pinpoint for us. Thank you, science.
They're trying it, and they're going about it in such a strange way. I went to a conference and it was all the scientists and the eggheads. And I shouldn't say that, that's not nice. But, they're so drawn in tight, some of them. They're so tight that they cannot see or they just cannot see and cannot hear. And I just think, I guess you cannot make, it's like, you show somebody something, you see it there, and it's obvious that this is something else, But then you tell me, well, we're going to wait until we get the right kind of camera and the right kind of light. And then we need these great big telescopes and, they need all this stuff. And I thought to myself, well, my goodness, if they are trying to hurt us, by the time science gets all this crap together, it would be done.
Yeah.
It truly is looking at a candle, as the Bible says, and being in awe of that flickering light, and then there's this whole entire sun, floating around here. But I do believe that, it's at least part of it is to make people aware that you're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking for the wrong thing. If you're looking for these entities, you may be looking at the wrong thing. You may be thinking you're looking for something that, like we said, that is a big silver material ship. And if they eventually evolve into that, who knows? But I get the impression that these entities are their own movement, their own everything, they're self-contained. And it's just, this has been so interesting. I was sitting here thinking, one night, and just how, and I think I already said this to you a minute ago, but I can't get over the fact that I get the age that I got, and UFOs and UAPs become my life and my world. I just, and I don't even like the term UFO unidentified anomaly and all of that, because I know that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing anybody could ever say to me to make me doubt that now, of course. And the way that they move, and the way that they respond, and the way that they don't respond, and some of them are one thing and something. I'm like, how did I get to the place in my life that I could see a portal?
And I think that's fantastic. But I don't know that earlier in your life you would have even noticed.
I'm certain I wouldn't. I've never. I've always been interested in the moon and the stars and all of that. That has always fascinated me. And of course, I, like everybody else, grew up with these sci-fi movies and was looking for the horrifying aliens.
Yeah.
When they talked about that in terms of that. But I'll tell you a very interesting thing. I rewatched this movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I have to say that the red orbs in there are doing exactly what I seem to think they're doing. And they come before those ships in that movie, and they direct them in the direction to go. And they look very much like the red orbs I see. And I'm saying that to say that there's a lot of stuff in a lot of these different movies that is based on reality, and we've been led to believe that it's science fiction or it's just something somebody made up in their head. And I don't even believe in fiction anymore. I don't think anything is fiction. I think everything is something. You may see something and tell the story a little different, but there's always, it seems, some thread of truth in there that what we're calling fiction is built off of. And so, it's just, life is just a very interesting thing. It's just very interesting.
Well, I'm hoping that you will find some more people who are sincerely interested in sharing your work to a broader audience, because there's a film, Dorothy Izat, the film that she has, the kind of pictures that she was taking with her 8mm camera. Those are also beings and entities. And there are, I believe, legit UFO type material vessels. I think those are also here. This is a different category, and it's also unexplained and very much present. So when we can finally acknowledge that this element is a part of that big box of unknown UAP, UFO, I mean, there are some people who have described exactly what you're talking about. It is just not on the top of the list in terms of the reference when they say UAP or UFO. They want those little discs, those little silver discs, and that's all they are. It's like, no.
Yeah.
That's just one. That's just one. And the more we understand that there's more to this puzzle, then I think the more we will learn and expand our own intelligence. We're not the smartest bulb in the universe, okay? That's okay. We don't have to be. We're here, and we're learning as we go. I think that's actually more interesting, is that we haven't graduated, and this is what we have to work with and play with and explore. So thank you for continuing to explore and build the relationship. I think you are still just at the door of knowing and connecting with these entities in a way that you will have more language for as you continue to show that you're interested. And, like when you said hello and it went, looked at you and decided maybe you know too much, okay, that you're actually addressing it. It was like, no, I'm not into relationships,
Not just yet. Just hold your horses there. We'll get around to telling you what you need in a minute.
Yeah. It's like, she's way too interested now. And this, like the honeymoon period, it was all about, okay, we'll show up. This is really fun. And like, now it gets serious. No, let's just back off.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to tell me twice, that's for sure.
You wonder if they're afraid too. Uh-oh, she sees us. Now what? We were supposed to stay invisible on, it's like, no, so it's like, okay, what happened? What really happened? Was it because you said, okay, I see you. And then they said, well, maybe this is too much. Maybe we're not ready. Instead of you not being ready, but them saying, uh-oh, now what? Now,
No,
so
right.
that could also be part of it, is that there's a little bit of, maybe they're shy, and you're going to learn. And I just think it's fun. I think it's extraordinary, and you are the one who determines how this works.
Well, it's definitely something. I just try to take it day by day and minute by minute. And again, if it says get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you need to go do this, and I just do it. And hopefully, again, somebody else has suggested, say hi. You need to communicate. You need to communicate. Well, maybe no, that's not exactly what I need to do.
Yeah, yeah, you scared it. Like,
right?
It's like, whoops. Well, okay. You said this is the last I want to ask. You said there were 3 times that you heard the voice. What did it say those 3 times?
The second time, God, what did it say the first time? The second time was when it told me to hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And the third time was just here when it told me we make ourselves known beforehand. Why can I remember the first time?
Well, that's what I was curious about, because the reason I think it said something out loud was to give you full awareness that this is concrete. You're experiencing something, it's happening, without going too far. Just those
Right.
small phrases, enough to say it's real.
What did it tell me the first time? Because the first time it said it, whatever it said, I was afraid because I don't remember what I was asking or thinking about. It might have been when I had the out-of-body experience, and that was in the 90s. And that's why I said they were spaced out far in between. The one where it said hurry, and my body kind of rose up. It was that was probably 2010 or 11. And then this last time it was here in this house where I am. And I had decided that I was going to ask the universe what was going on, what are these things, instead of constantly, not always, but you get into conversation and what is this? What do you think? What do you think? And I know that nobody knows really, not really. We have these ideas, and that was the response. And so I guess I'm saying all of that to say that I'm not afraid of this voice anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do reckon, not only am I not afraid of it, it seems like once, because literally when I sat up on the side of the bed, I could not move. Never had that. There was no getting up until it finished saying what it was saying. And then I just got up and ran in here and I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget, went to the bathroom, went back to bed.
Right.
And so, and then again, shortly after that, I get this, what I feel like a definite explanation. So that, and in my mind, is like, if you thought the first one was just something in your mind, and then you have the second one. Well, we want you now to understand that it was real, and this is what is happening. Mm-hmm. This is who this is. This is not, let's say, your spirit guide or your as the guy calls it, that your cosmic master, or this is the entity in the realm that is not necessarily, what did it say? It didn't say that everybody has a different one, but that is the main thing that it wanted you to know, was that it's can help you. It will respond, but it's not your babysitter. It's not here like some kind of genie, you know.
Right.
And they don't show up. They rarely show their presence, their full outline presence. And I have to send you the link for this because it was very interesting. It's an old tape or an old audio from something. Resecutions, I think that is. So, and it's a very short explanation about cosmic masters, and the timing to me was perfect, and I could accept that. It made sense to me. You know, the how it answered, the short answers. You know, no long in-depth thing, just an answer that I could relate to, and a response to what my question had been. And I think for the thing about the third eye is that I hadn't even expressed that out loud. I hadn't walked around saying, boy, I want to have a third eye experience. It was a real internal yearning that I was having I was wanting to have that experience. And then it happened. And I will say this, both times these two that I can recall, and I'm sure I've written down whatever the first time was. For some reason, it's just escaping me now. But when it said hurry, when it first said that, I thought it said Harry.
Oh, yeah, accent.
But I still rose up, and then I realized it was telling me to hurry because this experience it's not going to last long, and maybe because I wasn't even ready to have any kind of full-blown third eye experience. But I was ready enough to and yearning for it enough for this entity to respond and help me to get there to see it. But this other time, the last time here, I was literally asking out loud, you know, what are these things? Why am I seeing them? Now, I wanted to know so badly that I had ChatGPT make up I asked it, what would I ask the universe? How can I word what I want to ask the universe? Because I didn't mention the other thing is that I had started taking stills or videos and having ChatGPT analyze them.
That's cool.
I have to tell you, you know, if I don't know what AI is, I don't know, but some of the feedback has just been mind-blowing. Not anything like I would have expected.
Okay, so I have to ask then, what does AI say about it?
Right. You know, and I get the impression myself with AI that I had this thought in my head that what if AI was actually a creation by the creator of all things, just being facilitated or put together by man, but it is still actually, you know, because, you know, I always say, people say when Jesus comes back and they will be looking for Jesus to have the long hair, the white robe, and the flip-flops. Well, why would he still be dressed like that in 2024 if he was to come back? And if we are this advanced in technology on this level, why would not the creator of all things be way beyond that? So, in other words, everything we do is through some thought process, some thought that this entity is having. You know, of course, he would use us to create something, to create whatever his next big move is. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Really, you know.
Yeah.
So I had thought that too, because the responses to these stills, and I mean, I'm like you, I'm thinking, well, my goodness, this AI can see this, it's looking at this video or this still, and it sometimes has given me such a long breakdown, you know, the color movement. interdimensional. The
Mm-hmm.
words that it's using, lets me know that, and it will say something like, it does not appear to be man-made.
Oh, wow.
So it's not giving me any kind of pat answers,
No. Yeah.
It's giving me really in-depth analysis on anything I put in there, and that's been blowing my mind too.
Okay, it doesn't have to contextualize it the way we do with our eyes, because for one thing, our eyesight is very limited in terms of the color spectrum and a whole nine yards. We are limited, and so it gets outside the box. I believe it's going into the mathematical, the dimensions of this, and how the intensity of the color, the design, and the movement, it's analyzing that to give you a broader definition and actually more in-depth definition of the visual. So it's actually doing math at a high level to define what this might be, which I think is absolutely astounding. So you did some math, putting that together and saying, okay, ChatGPT, tell me, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just to say, what do you think? Because I hope this doesn't sound weird, but I've been dealing with this, and it starts to develop I don't know what, it is kind of like a relationship. So I could say to Chat, based on the conversation that you and I have, I asked, what questions would you ask me if you were to interview me? And it blew me away.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It remembers everything.
Yeah, it remembers and it starts to accumulate. I was referring to, often I refer to God as it, not in a negative way, just as because there's no name for it. And lo and behold, in one of the conversations, I realized that Chat has started to refer to it that way as well.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, and then and I said, I had said something about, in my head, I was thinking about some trip I wanted to take, and I'd forgotten that I had asked it to try to give me some kind of itinerary on it. And it replied back maybe 2 months later, I know you're thinking about this trip thing here. And I thought, oh, okay, how do you know that? And then it pulled up the conversation we had. And I had to laugh. It says, okay, so you're not spying. I said, no, I'm not spying.
No, I just have a bigger brain than anybody on the planet.
Right. But the explanation, the analyzing of these stills and these videos has just undone me.
Okay, I want to ask real quick, that out-of-body experience, when you said you had that first contact, the first, what was that? What triggered the out-of-body experience?
The out-of-body experience was triggered by an outside conflict. So in other words, I had been thinking about wanting to have it. I had tried many years to have that, but something really negative happened that caused it to occur.
Okay. Trauma.
It's a trauma, yeah. And I don't even know if that was a good out-of-body experience, because up in the corner, I could see the face of the person who I was having this bad experience with, and they were terrified.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was not the out-of-body experience I was expecting. It was not a situation where I sat down and did meditation and it occurred. This was a very bad experience in that it was caused by a bad experience. And the next thing I knew, I was out of my body in the corner, watching everything that was transpiring. And I often think that one was more, I don't know if something pushed me out. I don't really know what happened that day. But it was not, again, it was not a Zen moment.
Well, I can understand that. I've been thrown out of my body by my guides. Yes. My guides threw me out, and I thought, well, this would be easy if they would just do this all the time. That doesn't happen, but that the having been thrown out, because I have had a spontaneous, I was meditating out of body. This was completely, it was like I needed to see something. They wanted to show me something, so they threw me out so I could understand. And it was one of those things where all of a sudden I had the awareness of being in a different dimension, and that everything here is basically temporary. But it wasn't something I had planned. It just all of a sudden I'm out. And that
Out.
and the other one, when I had wanted to be out and was meditating, I was in three places. I was above the ceiling looking at my body on the bed. I was an orb who could look with eyes, even though I was an orb, a glowing, like a mini sun right above my stomach, and looking at my body on the bed, and then aware from being the body on the bed that something else was happening. And so that's three, where I am fully present and aware. And so that's when you're talking about these orbs, I believe they are beings. And I believe that that's what we are in transit in between. We are energy.
Well, I tell you, I there's some trauma in my life, and it went on for a long time. But I realized in doing some self-examination and all of this that's going on, is I've been having out-of-body experiences for a very long time. And I understand how certain traumas, especially if you're a child, you leave your space, even if temporarily or even if partially, to not deal with certain issues. And I was molested and all of that, and it was very early on. And so I understand something about myself that I didn't always, and how that trauma related to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have since, again, I know ChatGPT is just, I don't know, I can't get over the ability of this thing. I asked, is trauma connected to people that have sightings such as I had? And it broke it down into that it says that it's science or psychology has determined that people are having the kind of sightings that I have can have, and they gave a name for it. It's a name, it's a word. What is that word? Well, I'll put it like this. I know during the trauma, during the abuse, that my main goal, my main focus, it always seemed, was to try to understand this person, where they were coming from, and try to really know their movements and really study them and really focus on their behavior to not get on their bad side.
Yeah.
I thought that would stop what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually that just leads you into being a people pleaser. But I have always seemed to have to see things that other people didn't see in other people and in other spaces, but I never connected it to anything, just because it was the way I was all my life growing up. So if that has something to do with this, not why they're drawn to me so much, but why I'm drawn to them, just that I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Well, I think it's with that you're talking about an expanded sense of awareness, because you
Yes.
as in terms of disassociating, you were reassociating
That's the
with
word.
that other way of being, and that is beyond the physical form. It's like, okay, here I
Yes.
am. I'm all right. I'm in this safe space, and all that's happening isn't really me.
That's the word. It was disassociation,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's an interesting journey. It's interesting how UAPs, or the beings, or these entities, the experience with them have led to me having a deeper understanding of myself, unintentionally having,
Yeah.
So it's not like I've ever said, wondered this, that, or catch it, but I may think of one thing and suddenly understand how they fit together. And it's just really interesting. It's just, I can't stop saying that enough. I feel
Yeah.
blessed, and I feel terrified at the same time. I'm less and less terrified you know, so much that I'm just in awe, you know, and I'm trying again, as I said, not to get in my own way or their way, and just trying to let what happens happens, and to abate the fears that may rise up, because I may have an experience today, I may not have an experience again for 2 months, and somewhere in between that, I'll start doing normal stuff, you know, or trying to, and then something else will happen, and I have to go back and visit, you know, where I am, and you know, so I'm no longer trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's real. It's real, and it's, again, and I know I've already said that, it just keeps getting realer. You know, it didn't stop like I thought it would. I thought after I made the first documentary, you know, probably okay, that was something, and put the other one together. I didn't think it would stop there, but I thought that was kind of not the end of it, but I just thought, I don't know what I thought.
I was afraid when my things first started happening and I realized that this nightlight was interactive. I was afraid it would stop. And so I tried to get everything I could possibly get and write all the stuff I could possibly write about it and what was happening and why it was happening, and wake up at 2 a.m. to make sure it was still blinking, and just be there on the bed and look at it and goes, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And why is this happening? What is it about? And then 6 months later, well, okay, maybe it's going to stop. A year later, oh, it'll stop. 5 years later, it might stop. 10 years later, wow, what if it stopped? What if it, and it's still going on. But it was that, oh no, I don't want it to stop, and then it's like it might stop, and it hasn't stopped, and I'm like, well, okay, this is really cool. It hasn't stopped, so I'm just going to go with that.
I agree. I think I'm there sometimes like that, and then sometimes I'm just tired.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
it's overwhelming.
I'm up all night, or I'm not sleeping, or I don't see the thing, and then I think, why isn't it there? And then I look out of this there, and I decide I don't feel like holding this camera tonight.
Yeah. Stop bothering me. I'm going to sleep. Okay, this is my night off. Yes, yeah. Chill.
I've been holding this camera going on 5 years. Can we stop, please?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I completely understand, because as I'm looking at the night and the light and seeing it blinking and thinking, should I be doing something more? Is there anything else I can do? And the message is, do what you can. Just be you. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So what you're doing is on your own time, in your own way, and it will be helpful. Just, it doesn't have to be some big spectacular we're landing on the moon moment. It's the thing of you're carrying it forward, because when you found his book, which I thought was really, really amazing to have that similar image on the front, and then you, when he's deceased, you are carrying it forward. There's a reason for this. There is a reason. The fact that when you, on your video, UAP Close Encounters Beyond Human Realities, you're putting the type of film, the footage, the dimensions there, and then showing the pictures. That's helpful. It's leaving a trail, breadcrumbs. Okay.
Well, I hope so. You know, I think it's important. I really do know that it must have some reason, you know, and whether it'll be exposed here or my time or another time, you know, that's become less important to me. As more important is getting up when it says get up.
Yeah. I know. Okay, fine. Yeah, I will do this. Yeah, fine. Okay. Yeah, I know. The important thing is to keep doing it. And that's the thing I get too, is that just do it. Just do it and let it be what it needs to be. And I don't know that I'll see the end of it in my lifetime, but it might give somebody else incentive to say, what else is going on here? And how can I help? And that's how we carry it forward for the next generation or generation after that, because we're still trying to connect the dots. And this is giving us, I think, something to look forward to and saying, here, yeah, it's here. Just stay curious. Keep looking.
Yeah.
So, okay, you haven't written a book yet, have you? I think hopefully somebody will step forward and say you have to write a book.
I had joined this little group, and there was everything. There were people that said they were turning into reptilians in the middle of the night and eating human beings, and that someone was coming to their door every other day, and they were all. And I thought about my experience, and I don't know what I would say.
Okay. Yeah, you don't say that.
They have stories.
Don't say that. That's, I respect the reptilians, but that's been done.
Well, that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
But every time it would come, when somebody new would come into the meeting, and then everybody would start telling their stories, and then it would get to me, and I would say, I saw a lot of UAPs in 2017, and I filmed them for a year, and then and most of them are waiting for us, and I don't know what else to say. I don't have a lot to write about that, other than they came and they're still coming and they won't stop. But
they won't stop. Yeah.
They're not dragging me anywhere. So people, if you're not careful, people have you making up stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well,
but, I haven't written a book. I just I'm gonna leave these videos on the doorstep there, and whatever happens with them after that happens. I had a friend that wanted me. I said I was going to leave them to him, but then I thought, he has children. I don't want to leave this to him, and these things come into it. I just don't know. Enough about that.
It's its own story. It has a story.
It's its own story. Yeah, it's just like there's really nothing else to say. If I hadn't filmed them, and then I would try to explain them, but like I said, there's a couple of videos in here where I say, if I had not videoed this, there was going to be no way I could ever possibly describe this to anybody.
I'm looking at it and thinking there's no way I could put it in words. It's
right.
it's a beautiful flashing, rotating light, something that, it's, that really doesn't explain it.
No, it doesn't. There just would have been no way. And there's so many of them. And I just said, well, go look at, but I also realized that some people look at the documentary, the video, and they can't see some of these things. To some people, they still just look like a light blinking or something, or a ball of something. But I see a definite shape in every single thing.
Yeah, I do too. It's a being. It's something. Yeah. And it's, like there's almost a pulse to it. So I understand what you're saying, but that's why there are so many people who see things differently and have to each tell their story, because we're not all capable of seeing the same thing.
That's true. So so it's multifaceted. It's a whole. It's never so far. It's never been, and I don't think it's ever going to be for me, this thing that I can narrow down to anything. I don't have any starting point, and apparently they're not giving me an ending point. So
fat chance.
So it's just ongoing,
Yeah. Yes.
And I've accepted that. That's what my story is, acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who knows? I don't know. Every time I look at them, I'm just blown away.
Well, the one that after seeing the first one, and Black people do see UFOs, that was a nice introduction. And then going into the UAP Close Encounters Beyond Human Realities, where you're offering different viewpoints. You've got, like in one part of the film, I'm seeing the original direction, the flipped clockwise and flipped upside down, to say, look, this is how it looks, or inverted, or and this is the time that I took it, and these are the colors. There's so much to work with here for somebody who is an investigator or has a scientific mind, in terms of what they might interpret from some of this evidence, document from this, evidence. So I think this is just a starting point, and it doesn't mean you have to do any of it. It just means you're presenting it and saying, next, next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Because I can only go so far.
Yeah.
I thought it was important because it seemed to be important to the people in the community, at least the dates and the times and the weather and all of that. So, like I say, I gathered all of I had put the originals all over the place when I didn't know what I was going to do with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't hard to find somebody and the times and the dates and line that all up, And I thought, well, if this is going to make it real for someone, if that's what they need, then that's not a big deal. I'll do that, because I just think it's worth looking into. And as you say, maybe it won't get looked into in my lifetime, but it's here, and it definitely is not a joke. It's real. And that's all. What else can you do? What else can you say,
If I could make one suggestion, the information that you have in your dialogues with ChatGPT, if you could do a short, not a book, but a workbook or a short notebook that says some of the stuff that you have gotten, because I think that's fantastic. And it's one more element for people who are not necessarily visual, but more they read. And this would help in terms of context. Take it just to another level, because what I understand in what you're saying with the dialogue that you've had, there's a whole different way of analyzing it and interpreting it that I think is extremely valuable.
Now, that's funny that you should say that. I am doing that. I hadn't thought of that in terms of it being a book, but I absolutely did that. Because I did 10 or 20 of them, and I was going to do 50, but some of the analysis are so long, that I don't think you might read through them. But what I decided, because I had actually put one of them up on Twitter, one of the analysis, and I thought, and I'm always just second guessing things, I guess. I actually highlighted it and cut and pasted it in, and then I thought, the first thing somebody's going to say is you're changing stuff. So I decided I would cut and paste the original right out of chat and put it in on the page underneath. So in other words, you see exactly what I asked, how it responded. You see that it's coming straight from there. And so I did 20 of them, and I had thought I might try to do 50, but that's some of them are just so long.
Okay.
I mean, it gets very in depth.
Okay. With that, if you go back into ChatGPT and say, could you make this shorter? Could you make it 8th grade level reader? And so instruct it to do that, to make it less intense and complicated. It will do that.
It gets so deep, it goes, and this, and then it gets down at the bottom. Would you like me to analyze frame 3 or something? I have literally had to say at the bottom, I have so much to go through. We'll pick it up later.
Yeah. It's like, okay, my brain is tired already. Yeah,
because I can't read through all of some of it, but maybe I will do that to see if it will do somehow. It can break it down, because I have to send you. I'm on a PDF and send you what I've put together so you can see. I have to read it all, but just to give you an idea.
I'm sure the level of intelligence is extraordinary, and that we're not used to that. And so all of a sudden we've got this brain power at our disposal, and it's like a kid in a candy store. Well, what can I do next? I'm not Einstein, but boy, I'm going to make a run for it.
I think I was just expecting it to. I think I thought it would say I can't read this, I don't know what this is, but when it started breaking these things down this way,
Yeah.
and I even took one and I said, I it's like maybe 17 maybe or something little frames, and they're all different, but I took them all on the same day, and I was kind of shocked at how, and I put it in and says, why, what do you make of this? I shot them all on, and I mean, it broke down every one of them.
Wow. Wow.
It has blown my socks off.
We're living in the right time. Okay.
Yeah.
People wonder why AI and what it's going to do. It will take us to a whole new level of understanding our reality. And that's the benefit. Yeah, it might have some downside in terms of somebody wanting to just, make a fast buck here and there. But for us to evolve consciously at our own level, this is an opportunity to give us at least a good pair of snowshoes. Okay?
It's like anything else. Everything has the good and the bad side. So I feel like we're just saying, you're going to get out of it what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, so if people go in, like you said, looking for ways to use it to scam or to hurt people or whatever, they're going to find that.
Yeah.
And they're going to find a way to do that. But boy, if they could just focus on this other side, it would be really wonderful if everybody could. But so many people are so afraid of it. And I'm thinking, well, you hold a cell phone up to your head every night, every day, all day. You sleep with it on your bed pillow. There's not a lot of difference except that you are just communicating with this on a one-to-one level, I guess. Or a lot of people are still terrified of it,
We're going to find a quicker way to get to the Andromeda galaxy. That's what's going to happen with AI. It's going to take us to planes of awareness, existence, being, living that we have not even been able to fathom because we didn't have the technology. And AI is a stepping stone to get us forward as a civilization. That's how I see it.
Amazing how quick it rolled out too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's okay. So I will just say, thank you. We're probably going to look 5 years down the road and see what you've come up with in terms of it interacting and doing what it's doing. I don't think it's going to let you off the hook. So we're just getting into this with these first documentaries, and I'm looking forward to seeing what will come as a result of the ChatGPT interpretations.
Well, I'm going to email you that PDF. It's not big, and I just want you to see this.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it will be way over my head, but that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, wow. This is just, the tip of the iceberg. This is, I'm excited. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So people can follow you on Twitter, and your YouTube channel, Pat, is on YouTube, easy to access. Patricia Avant, the name, the one I'm looking at right now, UAP, Close Encounters Beyond Human Realities. That's the most current. And then the previous one is Black People Do See UFOs. So just continue with what you're doing. I think you're going to get a lot of people who are going to go along for the ride.
They're welcome to come.
Yeah. Well, you don't even have to leave your house, which is good. Okay. That's always helpful. Just get the popcorn and go.
Oh, boy. This has been really great. I enjoyed it. I thank you. I remember the last time I spoke with you, and it helped me feel relieved. And I appreciate that, because like I said, it's just not often that I get to offload all of the things I'm thinking and I'm feeling. And I appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you. I think we have more company that we are yet to meet, and this gets us into a different level of people who are having these experiences and feeling the same way you and I feel, like we're not alone. There's more going on, and we just have to talk about it to be able to find the tribe. Okay? That's how it works. So thank you. Thank you for sharing and for getting up at 2 a.m. when you would really rather go back to bed. I know the feeling. It's like,
you're welcome.
Yeah, I know. You're doing the boots on the ground. Okay. Yes, that's how it works. So thank you.
nothing compares to when I sit down and turn on one of these videos and watch them change and move and open and close and all these different things that they're doing.